Remember this, it's 1985, your faithful Teasmade stands guard for tomorrow's awakening, while your precious Betamax captures fleeting moments of tomorrow's world. These 25 British items from the 1980s that Gen Z has never seen weren't mere objects. They were intimate companions that defined our days. Did you know Britain conquered the world of home computing by 1983, boasting more computers per capita than any nation on Earth? However, these cherished fixtures disappeared like morning mist. Today's emotional journey doesn't just resurrect memories, but unveils forgotten tales of British genius that ignited our digital age, exposing why brilliance sometimes crumbles while mediocrity endures forever. This bedside marvel combined alarm clock, kettle, and teapot into one gloriously complicated contraption. Though Goblin created early versions in the 1930s, the 1980s models from companies like Swan reached peak sophistication with faux wood veneer and LED displays. The heating element boiled water at your preset time, with steam pressure forcing water through a spout into the waiting teapot. The gurgling, hissing, and triumphant whistle served as nature's alarm clock. The controversial bit? These were notorious fire hazards. The combination of water, electricity, and 1980s safety standards meant insurance companies sometimes increased premiums. Yet over 300,000 British households risked it all for perfect morning tea. The demise came from coffee culture and programmable coffee makers that didn't sound like industrial machinery at dawn. Sony's Betamax offered superior picture quality and more compact cassettes than VHS, yet lost spectacularly in the home market. Professional broadcasters used Betacam, Betamax's professional derivative, well into the 2000s. The BBC used Betacam SP for news gathering until digital took over. The home failure wasn't about quality, but recording time. VHS offered up to 4 hours on an E180 tape, enough for entire football matches, while Betamax initially maxed out at 60 minutes. Sony's obsession with picture quality over practicality meant British families couldn't record consecutive programs. JVC's VHS might have degraded faster, but at least you captured entire events without swapping tapes mid-recording. This format war became synonymous with backing the wrong horse, despite technical superiority. Before we dive deeper into this technological time capsule, if you're enjoying these forgotten gems, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because later in this video, I'm going to reveal which one of these items is now worth thousands of pounds if you've still got one in your attic. Sir Clive Sinclair's rubber-keyed wonder sold over 5 million units, making Britain the microcomputer capital of Europe. With 16K or 48K RAM, 8 colours, 2 per character block causing attribute clash, and programs loaded via screeching cassette tapes, the specs were modest. Yet this limitation bred innovation. Matthew Smith created Manic Miner in his bedroom, while Elite fitted an entire universe into 32K, the controversial aspect. Sinclair deliberately used cheap rubber keyboards to keep prices at £125 to £175, believing serious users would buy proper keyboards separately. They didn't. Instead, millions developed Spectrum Finger, a stabbing technique repair shops recognised instantly. The rubber eventually wore through to bare membrane, yet users persisted. This machine didn't just sell computers, it created Britain's games industry and inspired a generation of programmers. Though Japanese-made, the Walkman revolutionised British culture by creating personal audio space. The WM2 model popular in Britain came with orange foam headphones that disintegrated within months, leaving orange residue in ears. Auto-reverse seemed like magic, though it guaranteed eating your favourite tape eventually. British commuters could finally escape public transport horror by retreating into private soundtracks of Duran Duran and The Cure. Here's what nobody mentions. Early models had a hotline button activating an external microphone, letting you hear announcements without removing headphones. Sony removed it because British users complained it defeated the point of avoiding human interaction. The Walkman didn't just play music, it created the concept of public isolation that smartphones would perfect decades later. Those orange headphones became status symbols worn even with dead batteries. These tiny stamps required military precision in collection and redemption. You licked and stuck them into books, 1,280 stamps per book, then exchanged them for prizes at redemption centres. The mathematics were Byzantine. Items required anywhere from quarter books for tea towels to 49 books for televisions. The average family collected 6,000 stamps annually, meaning years of dedication for decent prizes. The genius was making customers do the work, spending evenings sticking stamps while dreaming of items that cost less if purchased outright. Tesco abandoned them in 1977, but independent retailers continued into the early 1980s. Richard Tompkins, who brought Green Shield stamps to Britain, later transformed redemption centres into Argos, explaining that catalogue's peculiar prize counter atmosphere that persists today. The psychological manipulation was masterful. Speaking of shopping rewards, here's something fascinating. One of these worthless items from our list recently sold at auction for £12,000. Keep watching to find out which one. But first, let's talk about the telecommunication revolution that nobody saw coming. BT phone cards liberated callers from finding correct change for increasingly expensive payphones. These credit card-sized plastics contained prepaid units on magnetic strips, later optical strips, then chips. They became unexpected collectibles. BT released commemorative designs for royal weddings, tourist attractions, and special events. Limited regional runs created artificial scarcity and collecting frenzies. The controversial element was deliberate rarity. Isle of Man TT cards or Scottish editions commanded premiums. Mercury Communications joined with competing cards, creating a format war nobody wanted. These introduced Brits to stored value technology before Oyster cards existed. The environmental disaster went undiscussed. Millions of exhausted cards containing non-biodegradable plastics and magnetic materials entered landfills while everyone panicked about aerosols. Rarest cards now fetch hundreds of pounds, particularly misprints and recalled designs nobody thought to keep. Sir Clive's single-seat electric trike launched January 10, 1985, during a brutal winter. Batteries literally wouldn't work in freezing conditions. With 12-volt lead-acid batteries providing 20-mile range at 15 miles per hour maximum, no license was required. Hoover's washing machine factory in Merthyr Tydfil manufactured the polypropylene bodies. Yes, vacuum cleaner makers built vehicles. Reality proved terrifying. Sitting below lorry bumper height with shopping trolley visibility meant mixing with traffic required spectacular optimism. The motor technology developed with Lotus and Polymotor was genuinely advanced. Similar principles now power expensive electric bikes. Only 17,000 units were made before receivership. Thousands of unsold C5s had motors repurposed for mobility scooters. Critics called it a suicide machine, and sales proved them right, yet its failure pushed battery development forward, eventually enabling today's electric vehicle revolution. These leather-bound organizers became yuppie status symbols during 1986's Big Bang deregulation. The 6-ring binder system allowed infinite customization. Diary pages, wine charts, international dialing codes, tiny calculators. The Winchester model in tan leather screamed executive, costing £150, £400 today. Power users developed complex filing systems with coloured tabs that would impress modern productivity gurus. Filofax theft targeted contents, not expensive leather, your entire contact network and schedule in analogue form. Criminals stole them from city workers, leading to insider trading investigations when diary information appeared suspiciously. Insurance companies offered specific personal organizer coverage. Losing your Filofax meant losing your identity before digital backups existed. These weren't just diaries, but complete life management systems that smartphones would eventually replace, though without the leather-bound prestige. If you're finding these memory lanes fascinating, drop a comment below with your own favourite forgotten 1980s item. Don't forget to subscribe because we release new nostalgia-packed content every week. Acorn's BBC Micro dominated British education through the Computer Literacy Project. These beige tanks cost £235 to £335. Serious money when teachers earned £6,000 annually. BBC Basic featured procedures, functions, and inline assembly, remarkably sophisticated for 1981. Every school computer room had that distinctive warm electronic smell, with machines chained to desks. Granny's Garden traumatized children with its witch, while Pod let kids manipulate pink creatures. The untold legacy. The BBC Micro team developed ARM processor architecture for Acorn's next computer. When that flopped, they created ARM Holdings, whose designs now power virtually every smartphone. That iPhone uses technology from Cambridge Labs, where boffins argued about instruction sets over warm beer. The BBC Micro didn't just teach programming, it accidentally created the mobile revolution. Facsimile machines were magic. Paper fed in London materialised in Glasgow minutes later. By 1989, Britain had Europe's highest fax penetration, with corner shops offering bureau services at £1 cent, 50 pence received. Quality was terrible. Thermal paper yellowed within weeks. Resolution made handwriting illegible. Success rates required ritual confirmation sheets. The warbling connection screech became office ambience. Junk faxing was 1980s spam. Businesses blasted advertisements overnight, consuming expensive thermal paper. Companies arrived Monday to entire rolls eaten by takeaway menus. The 1987 Great Curry House Fax War of Bradford saw competing restaurants jamming each other's machines with solid black pages until bankruptcy threatened both. Parliament discussed fax terrorism after political groups paralysed government offices with continuous transmissions. This revolutionary technology became a nuisance almost immediately. The TV-80 flat-screen Pocket TV used a sideways-mounted 2-inch CRT with Fresnel lens, promising television anywhere. Single-channel tuners required manual adjustment with thumb-wheel precision. 6 AA batteries lasted 15 minutes. The device became burning hot during use. Viewing angles were precisely 15 degrees. Move slightly and images vanished. At £79.95, you paid premium prices for squinting at tiny, static-filled screens. The technology was genuinely innovative but completely impractical. Modern collectors pay £300 to £500 for working examples as monuments to optimistic engineering. Clive Sinclair believed we'd abandon newspapers for pocket TVs by 1990. Instead, we waited 20 years for smartphones to properly deliver his vision. These devices prove that being ahead of your time means being wrong at the present moment. Technological prophecy without practical possibility. Cassette singles promised convenience but delivered frustration. These contained A-sides, B-sides and desperate remixes, stretching songs beyond endurance. Production cost 15 pence, retail £1.99, pure profit. Recording capability meant unlimited copying, triggering "home taping is killing music" campaigns. Format proliferation killed them. Singles appeared as 7-inch vinyl, 12-inch vinyl, CD cassingle, plus limited editions of each. Stock Aitken Waterman required dedicated storage systems. Fans spent fortunes collecting identical songs in different formats. The industry's greed destroyed its own creation. Cassingles lasted barely a decade before CDs dominated. These represented the music industry's last attempt at controlling physical media before digital piracy made such efforts irrelevant. The 1980s calculator wars produced increasingly absurd devices. Sharp's scientific calculators featured 61 functions, including hyperbolic arctangents. useful for nobody. Casio's calculator watches, particularly the CA53W from Back to the Future, required pencils to operate tiny buttons, making calculation impossible. Yet wearing one signaled technical sophistication or social doom. Texas Instruments created unexpected cults. The HP-12C financial calculator, unchanged since 1981, still sells because bankers refuse relearning. Goldman Sachs provides training on this 40-year-old technology. Original models fetch triple launch prices because reproductions feel wrong to professionals. These devices prove that sometimes perfect is the enemy of better. When something works, even obsolescence can't kill it. Modern smartphones contain infinitely more power, yet specialized calculators persist through sheer institutional inertia. Amstrad Alan Sugar's PCW series disguised computers as typewriters, selling to computer-phobic consumers. The PCW 8256, £399, included monitor, keyboard and printer integrated like futuristic typewriters. Running already obsolete CP/M, they included LocoScript word processor, so intuitive that technophobic secretaries became immediately productive. Green phosphor monitors gave documents radioactive glows, while dot matrix printers created distinctive zzz sounds now sampled in lo-fi music. Sugar's masterstroke was marketing. Never computers, always word processors. 8 million units sold to people who'd never buy computers. When hackers revealed these could run thousands of programs, owners discovered they'd accidentally bought powerful machines. Schools bought word processors to avoid expensive computers, feeling simultaneously clever and foolish. Sugar understood that fear of technology could be overcome by hiding it. Get busy with the fizzy. Promised paradise but delivered disappointment. Glass bottles exploded if overcarbonated. Flavours had legally distinct names. Cola, lemonade. Tasting almost entirely wrong. Economics failed. CO2 and syrups cost more than buying real drinks. The controversial aspect, SodaStream's West Bank factory, led to boycotts. Advertising featured happy families while protesters picketed shops. Environmental claims ignored shipping cylinders from Israel. The ritual was everything. Ceremonial fizzing, careful syrup measurement, pretending it tasted good. Modern SodaStream succeeds where 1980s versions failed by abandoning flavours for sparkling water. Original machines now sell as retro chic to people who never experienced the disappointment firsthand. At 10 pence per bottle, Panda Pops were liquid poverty indicators. Flavours existed nowhere in nature. Blue raspberry, strawberry jelly and ice cream. Bubblegum. Bottles were engineering marvels of cheapness. Plastic so thin that gripping hard-launched lids like missiles. Ingredients read like chemistry sets. Tartrazine, Ponceau 4R. Brilliant blue FCF. Additives making children vibrate visibly. Created in 1973, the 1980s saw peak consumption. When EU regulations tightened in 2004, reformulation proved impossible. Chemicals were the flavour. Production ceased 2011. Original bottles sell on eBay as nostalgic poverty artifacts. Parents calculated 30 Panda Pops cost less than one Coca-Cola, making dental health tomorrow's problem. These drinks represented British inequality in liquid form. Sugared water with chemicals, marketed to those who couldn't afford better. The appetizer occupied strange territory, too sophisticated for children, too weird for adults. Red carbonated mystery in returnable glass bottles worth 10 pence made empties valuable playground currency. Fred Pickup created Tizer in Manchester in 1924, but 1980s formula achieved legendary status. The head, persistent red foam, lasted longer than beer foam and stained permanently. School photographers scheduled pictures before lunch, avoiding Tizer moustaches. The secret recipe was citrus oils plus enough carmazine, E122, to dye fabric. The 1986 advertising war with Tango forced reactive campaigns, starting pointless competition between non-colas. Modern Tizer tastes nothing like the original. Health regulations eliminated the chemicals that created its unique flavour. Original sealed bottles command collector prices from people chasing childhood memories that probably tasted terrible anyway. These weren't stereos but territory markers. The Sharp GF777 weighed 10 kilograms, consumed 10 D-cells hourly, damaged hearing at 50 paces. Twin cassette decks enabled industrial piracy. British youth divided along boombox lines. Soul boys, b-boys, each claiming sonic space. Police confiscated thousands under public nuisance laws. The 1981 Brixton events partially connected to enforcement, though officially ignored. These machines projected identity through volume. Your music, your space, your rules. Modern Bluetooth speakers descend from ghetto blasters but lack their physical intimidation. Carrying one required commitment, batteries, weight, and courage to play music publicly. They created outdoor sound systems before festivals existed, transforming shopping centres into impromptu venues. The Sun 600 series dominated British instant photography. Cameras cost £30, practically given away because film was £8 for 10 photos. Each party snapshot required financial planning. Integral film contained caustic chemicals burning skin and clothing. Despite warnings, everyone shook photos vigorously. Damaging emulsion and creating characteristic Polaroid blur, Instagram now replicates digitally. Corporate espionage loved Polaroids. No negatives meant no duplication without originals. Fashion houses, car manufacturers used them for confidential documentation. Your drunken photos used technology protecting commercial secrets. The waste was enormous. Each photo contained batteries, chemicals, and plastics in non-recyclable packages. Edwin Land's invention created billions of chemical waste packets. Modern instant cameras use similar technology but hide the environmental impact better. Those blurry party photos were toxic waste generators we waved around gleefully. Brother Olivetti and Silver Reed sold portable machines weighing 5 kilograms. Portable if you enjoyed spinal damage. These promised literary freedom but delivered permanent ink stains. Correction tape created ghost text. Tipex painted mistakes, obviously. Carbon paper multiplied errors. Ribbon re-inking spread permanent ink everywhere. Britain's last repair shop charges £150 minimum. Monopoly pricing. Theatres maintain them for sound effects. Nothing replicates mechanical clatter. Tom Hanks inflated collector prices irrationally. The romance ignored reality. Loud, messy, unforgiving machines. Yet they forced careful thought. No delete key meant considering words. Modern writers use typewriter apps simulating friction, missing the point entirely. These machines made writing physical, demanding commitment to each keystroke. Roberts Radio created design classics, but most teenagers owned Hong Kong imports, receiving Radio 1 clearly and everything else as static. These provided audio freedom from family entertainment. Medium wave after dark opened Europe. Luxembourg fading mysteriously. Pirates broadcasting from international waters. Caroline and Radio North Sea International created midnight communities under bed covers. The technical problem: electromagnetic interference destroyed television reception. The 1984 Clean Air Initiative supposedly hunted illegal CB users, but mostly found badly shielded transistor radios. Teenagers walking past homes could kill entire streets' TV reception. Yet these simple devices connected British youth to wider culture when mainstream media ignored them. John Peel's late-night sessions reached fans through transistor radios, launching careers and movements. Modern podcasts attempt recreating this intimacy, but lack the ritual of tuning through static finding voices. Pre-digital car radios required genuine skill. Finding stations while driving meant one-handed wheel control, one-handed tuning, eyes on road, ears on static. Mechanical presets physically moved tuning mechanisms. Lose power, spend journeys retuning. Theft was extraordinary. Alpine meant quality and crime equally. Face-off stereos created bizarre rituals of carrying radio faces like expensive accessories. Professional thieves learned Ford radio removal in 8 seconds. Insurance companies created audio-specific excess charges. Some excluded car audio completely. Solutions included fake facades, cheap-looking fronts hiding expensive systems. Criminal ingenuity met consumer deception perfectly. The push-button preset was mechanical marvel. Springs and cams remembering positions mechanically. Modern seek and scan seems magical, but lacks the skill of finding pirate stations while navigating roundabouts. These radios made driving interactive, constant adjustment, always searching for better signals. These nicotine dispensers lurked in every pub, selling Embassy at premium prices. At £1.40 for shrinking packets, convenience cost dearly. Age verification was height. Reaching slots meant eligibility. The 1991 Child Protection Act required supervision, landlords glancing occasionally. Money laundering was endemic, claiming thousands while selling dozens. HMRC required serial tracking, creating Britain's dullest job. Cigarette auditor. 2011 brought complete bans. These machines normalised smoking as furniture. Every toilet trip passed temptation. They represented smoking acceptance, now seeming alien. Modern vape shops replaced them but lack the sinister automation of death for coins. Those machines made smoking transactional, impersonal, always available. Perfect for addiction's requirements. Kodak carousels turned dining rooms into torture chambers. Chunk of changing slides accompanied paternal narration nobody wanted. Bulbs cost £25, exploding dramatically after 3 shows. Slides melted if projected too long. Circular magazines became weapons when dropped. Every family had the box. Unorganised transparencies where Spanish beaches met Scottish highlands randomly. The ritual was profound. Darkened rooms, projected memories, forced togetherness. Digital photos killed communal suffering. Now we scroll alone through thousands unseen. Slideshows were awful but shared. Instagram is convenient but solitary. Progress eliminated forced family bonding, removing both pain and connection. Those evenings built family mythology through shared endurance. The 3.5-inch disc represented portable storage revolution, 1.44 megabytes behind sliding metal that everyone fidgeted with destructively. Schools guarded them like crown jewels. Formatting wars meant incompatibility everywhere, IBM versus Mac versus Amiga. That satisfying shutter click was also weakness. One fingerprint meant data death. Write protect tabs were perpetually wrong positioned. High density proved laughably unreliable. These failed constantly, usually containing only copies of coursework. Students carried multiple discs, hoping one might work. The metal shutter was perfectly sized for staplers, discovered after stapling discs to assignments, destroying both simultaneously. Modern USB drives hold 32,000 times more, but lack that satisfying click. These discs taught brutal lessons about backup importance. Disk red error trauma created generations of compulsive savers. Cloud storage eliminated this fear, though somehow losing work to connection errors feels less devastating than physical disk failure. That £12,000 auction sensation? A mint-condition Sinclair C5. Sir Clive's failure now worth more than successful cars. These 25 items weren't products but promises. British dreams materialised in plastic and silicon. Gen Z inherits our digital age birthed from these analogue ancestors. Your smartphone carries BBC micro DNA, Walkman miniaturization, floppy disk storage evolution. Check those attics. Yesterday's junk becomes tomorrow's treasure. Subscribe for weekly British nostalgia excavations. Hit the bell for forgotten brilliance notifications. Comment your most embarrassing 1980s memory below. Until next time, remember when the future needed D batteries and infinite patience, but somehow felt more magical for it.